The emails in the files suggest that Bill Gates had additional affairs and that he tried to get medication to treat a sexually transmitted infection, and that he was going to give you the medicine without you knowing. His representative has said all of this is false. It is not on you to have to respond to the details of that alleged behavior, but I wonder what your dominant emotion is when you read these news articles with these details.
Sad. Just unbelievable sadness. Unbelievable sadness, right? And again, I'm able to take my own sadness and look at those young girls and say, my God, how did that happen to those girls, right? And so for me, it's just sadness for, I left my marriage. I had to leave my marriage. I wanted to leave my marriage. I had to leave I felt I needed to eventually leave the foundation. So it's just sad. That's the truth.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be provided are greater than the legal services provided by other lawyers. You found the Heart of Dixie podcast, legislative update. I'm Harry Still. I'm down here in Daphne, Alabama, and we're joined today by our co-host, Brandon Mosely, reporter and content manager at the Alabama Gazette. How are you, Brandon?
I'm doing fine, Harry. How are you?
Well, I'm good. So according to the website, this is legislative day 10. Is that your count?
That sounds about right.
And I got a legislative recap last week from the Republican Party, and I thought you might maybe take us from there forward, let us know what's going on. Of course, Representative Matt Simpson, I understand that people often lose control of their, everything when they lose consciousness, and I just, I didn't hear that part of it. But anyway, why don't you tell us what's going on? Give us an update on Representative Simpson, if you know what's going on. And
I don't have a recent update. Yesterday evening, I spoke with the Speaker of the House, Nathaniel Ledbetter, and he said that he doubled over in pain, and that they're guessing it was either really bad kidney stones or appendicitis. Appendicitis is what I've been hearing around the building.
Okay. So it wasn't bad. The Hawaiian delegation didn't bring in bad poi or
I would
food poisoning.
Don't think it was, any kind of white powdery substance in the mail or anything like that we need to be, some new Asian virus or anything. It's just appendicitis or kidney stones was what, we were hearing. I'll try to get an update for later.
Okay. So tell us about what's going on in the House and Senate right now.
We kind of did a little bit of kabuki theater through the 23rd to get qualifying out of the way. Now we're taking on the more controversial bills. I don't believe we're going to have anything that's just earth shattering in this session, but now we are getting the more red meat type bills.
Like
now
making it a
felony. No one can qualify against them.
Like making it a felony if you try to elude the police, and God knows
that's going to be. We did pass that out of the House. That moved along.
And what about putting rapists to death, child rapists?
Yeah, that is passed. That's pretty. Passed out of the House. It's pretty popular. It's going up to the Senate.
How you got a list of anything else that you're tracking the red meat bills?
Obviously the House passed the bill to make the School of Social Work. Well, it doesn't change it. It just changes where the legislature in 1965 ordered the University of Alabama to make the School of Social Work its own standalone school within the university. The House bill has removed that as a requirement of the university. They can do it if they want to with the Department of Social, the social work folks. That passed. The Senate passed. Well, a lot of this has to go to the second house. We're just in day 10. The Senate yesterday passed a bill where state regulators cannot pass regulations that are more stringent than the federal code.
And can you explain that? What the implications of that? I mean, so what you're saying is that whatever the federal regulations are about
That's the standard in Alabama.
So
obviously, we cannot have a looser standard than the federal standard because, federal law still takes precedence over state law. So, if there's only so many parts per million of lead can, enter the water system, you can't decrease that below the federal threshold. But you can't set a standard that is more restrictive than the federal deal. Now, where this sort of plays into, more realistic effect for Alabama is we had Obama in there and he had a really high environmental standard. Then we had Trump and, he, kind of made it looser, his EPA. And then you had Biden and raised it back up to the Obama standard or higher. Then we got Trump back in there, lowering it again. Our standard in Alabama is whatever the federal standard is. So
okay. Let me ask the important question. So is Wesley and Alabama Power Company, are they behind this? Is this all to do with coal ash?
Coal ash would definitely be affected by this. We've had in the past where people go to the PSC or to ADEM to lobby for coal ash. Hey, if this passes, you're wasting your time. State regulators cannot set a stronger standard than the EPA. I think the Biden administration was going to make us dig up all of our coal ash out of our ponds and send that to put it in 55-gallon barrels and park it, in a secure facility like in Mail where it's underground, for the rest of the time. And I think the Trump administration has said, well, no. The Bush administration said it was okay to put it in coal ash ponds. In coal ash ponds, it shall stay. I haven't followed this all that closely, and there was very little discussion about a little bit, but it came up, about coal ash ponds yesterday. But that's one of the deals. If this passes, again, it's whatever the EPA says is the standard. You can't ask, ADEM
the state to protect us from the coal ash is whatever the Fed say it is.
Okay. If the Fed said the coal ash is okay, the coal ash is okay.
Okay. So what about all these Senate reports about related to healthcare service corporations? This looks like something specifically so that a nonprofit holding corporation, formation of a nonprofit holding corporation by a healthcare service corporation by means of reorganization to provide for the reorganization process to give notice at the Department of Insurance. Yes, this is for Blue Cross Blue Shield, special little thing. Then we've got Securities and Exchange Commission is going to have a hand in. There's going to be a new mortgage tax that's going to be dedicated to this Alabama Housing Trust. Yeah, here it is.
Now I did get an interesting editorial at the Gazette from a former banking commissioner, Mr. Harrison. The Genius Act, which, will encourage us to invest in crypto.
Genius.
The Genius Act there, his objection to it is if you encourage people to put their money in crypto, that means they'll be taking money out of banks you take money out of banks, especially local community banks, they have less money to lend to business, and then you have a problem on Main Street. I don't know where the crypto money goes.
Yeah.
You know,
I have a sneaking suspicion it all goes to Dubai. There's some
yeah,
reason that Dubai is the new
mean, if
London.
Brandon parks his money in the bank, then Harry wants to go get a loan from the bank to buy a golf cart or whatever. I understand how that works. They pay Brandon interest. Harry then gets the money, and then he gets his golf cart. He has to pay interest back to the bank, which pays interest to Brandon. If Brandon then takes his money out of the bank and puts it into crypto,
Whoops. It's just
yeah, I don't
kinda,
know how that system quite works all that great.
yeah. So anyway, the other one that's important here is Senators Smitherman, Stewart, and Figures related to child custody, Section 33B 204 of the Code of Alabama 1975 to authorize certain temporary emergency child custody determinations made pursuant to the Uniform Child Custody Jurisdiction Enforcement Act to become final. So that could be a good one. The other one seems like a no-brainer, but yeah, we're going to let parolees have their, have Zoom hearings instead of transporting people thousands of miles.
Yeah, I mean, we're short on corrections officers. I mean, anytime you ship one of those guys, you got to send a corrections officer or two with them.
Right. Okay. Well, look, let's keep it short and sweet. I think this was perfect. I'll talk to you tomorrow, and we'll let everybody know what's going on then too. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Brandon.